The meeting of the Board of Ellis County Commissioners will now come to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Bobby, if you could call the roll.
Commissioner Joe LaRue.
Here.
Sheriff Butch Schleier.
Here.
Commissioner Neil Younger.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Bobby. Order of business, we will have two additions, I believe, to the order of business today, and there's no executive sessions. Prior minutes, commissioners?
Yes, sir. That's
Okay,
good.
minutes stand as submitted. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through G.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Issues from persons not on the order of business.
Yes, sir.
That's you.
Thank you. My name's Jeff Pfeiffer. I'm from Victoria.
Thank you. Is that better?
That's better.
My name's Jeff Pfeiffer. I'm from Victoria, and as you know, I am the owner of the rest home in Victoria, and got it over about a year and a half ago. And in that year and a half, the community has kind of pulled together and started a nonprofit corporation called the Victoria Community Coalition. We got notice earlier this month that we do have our 501c3. So that's a joyous event for us, a huge milestone. So January 1st or 2nd, we're going to transfer, I'm going to transfer the rest home, donate it to the nonprofit Victoria Community Coalition. And as you've seen some of the plans that we've been working on for the last 12 months, we're going to continue proceeding with those. We're proposing some senior apartments, independent living, some child care space, some community space, and some Ellis County historical space. And in February, we do plan to apply for grants with the state of Kansas for probably over $1 million for some of those. There's 3 different grants we're going after. And the city is supporting of this. They've forgive some charges that they've had on the property. They have enlisted membership to the Northwest Kansas Planning and Development Commission at our request, and also they are submitting the state grants on our behalf. So the city of Victoria supports this effort, and going into next year, I guess I'm here just to ask that and hope that the Ellis County will be supportive and partner with us in any way you can next year. So you'll be seeing me again the first of the year to just give you an update and see what we can do together to make this possible. Because I do think it's a unique opportunity, not just for Victoria, but Ellis County.
Yeah,
Thank you for your time.
Jeff, I think the project over there is a very worthwhile project, and it's worth continued efforts to get that going and underway. And I'm very hopeful that the future commissions, again, will be supportive as you get your feet under you with that and things really progress. So I'm hopeful for that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Joe?
Well, I'm really happy to see finally that the nonprofit status came through. You guys waited on that. Had to wait on that for a while with all the delays, and that'll help because you won't have that handling fee with the other agency accepting donations on your behalf. I am curious because I was very excited over the partnership between the Historical Society and the former rest home. And Brad was here not too long ago and asked him for an update, and he had kind of mentioned that it was still kind of in that admin background, lawyers, thumb wrestling stage. What could you add to that update?
And it actually isn't any more complicated than one thing that I'm aware of, and that's the insurance.
Okay.
Yes, we're having trouble finding insurance on a building like this because it has multiple uses, and we're upgrading it in multiple stages. So as of this week, yesterday, I'm talking to 3 different people about how we can get around that. put on a builder's risk for 3 years instead of 1, or do just improvements and betterment policies. So that's the big issue.
Well, I hope it gets resolved,
Yeah.
because that sounds like a great partnership. There'll be some synergy there, and if you can link arms with them in regards to fundraising and marketing, I think that'll make a huge difference, because boy, they've done a lot with the Historical Society in the last year. And if you can get just a touch of that magic, then you guys will look like rock stars 12 months from now.
Thank you. I agree. I was at their ribbon cutting last week for their basement, and it looks great. Yeah.
Commissioner Neal, you have any comments?
I also have been hit up. They're out hustling and selling some raffle tickets, and if you guys keep after it, this could be a big deal for Victoria. Very, very supportive of it, especially you got your 501c3 now. That's a good plus. So keep up and be consistent.
Thank you. I'm sleeping better at night now. Less worries. But it is exciting. I mean, I think when you're talking this many millions of dollars that come into Victoria, I mean, I just think it's something that can help for years to come. So thank you for your support and the county's future support.
Okay, thank
Merry
you,
Christmas.
Jeff.
Thanks. Take care, Jeff.
Okay, Bobby.
Bobby Dreiling, County Clerk. Back in November, when we had canvass, we had the Big Creek Township clerk position up, and there were like 5 people in the hat that we drew out, and James Graham had gotten his name drawn out. Well, I have now since have heard from the treasurer of that township and also from James Graham, who he says he would like to decline the position since he's already trustee. And they are asking that Duff Watson, who is right now the current clerk for Big Creek, to be appointed back into that position. So if you guys are okay with that, I just need a motion to appoint Duff Watson.
Jeff Watson?
Duff.
Jeff?
Duff. D-U-F-F.
Duff Watson.
Duff Watson.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments or concerns?
Nope, glad for him to step up.
Well, it's great that he's willing.
And that's the Big Creek.
Big Creek Township
Okay.
Clerk.
Commissioners, I will make a motion to appoint Duff Watson to the Big Creek Township Clerk.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Okay, monthly department report. Commissioners, did you view the report?
Sir.
Everything looks good.
Very thorough report.
Very thorough.
Okay, a motor vehicle clerk position. Vern?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Vern Reuter, Ellis County Treasurer. I'm asking to add an additional job description of Motor Vehicle Clerk 2 to our office. This proposed action is part of an ongoing effort to achieve a chain of command for our Treasury office. This added title change allows for some of the senior clerks we have in that office who have been with the county more than 2 years and have completed commercial motor vehicle training to move into a position of leadership for training of our new clerks and advancement opportunities within the Treasury Department. After 2 years, we're looking at moving or making the Motor Vehicle Clerk 2 position 106 pay grade. The one Motor Vehicle Clerk position now we have is a 105 pay grade. Right now, after the 2 years, we have 5 motor vehicle clerks. There is one eligible right now, and we have one coming eligible in about 6 months, and then the rest are all brand-new clerks. There's not going to be much for financial impact on moving them up a step, 60 cents an hour or whatever, but getting our new senior clerks to actually get up and help train some of the new clerks we have and actually move into some of the background, higher level duties in our back offices and cross-train them. As you know, we might have a retirement here in the next couple of years, but just to give another part of leadership there. So, have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, just some comments.
Yeah.
I think it's good anytime we can look at promotions within a department. It gives an incentive to an employee. And this has its own built-in benchmarks. A person has to be there 2 years. They have to complete their motor vehicle commercial training. to move into the position and that sort of thing. So it can be an incentive for someone to excel at their position and to keep going. So I'm in favor of this position. Commissioner Neal?
I'm also in favor of that. Anytime that something like that can go on, and we're good, so.
Commissioner Joe?
Sure, it offers folks an opportunity to promote and progress and helps with retention, so certainly it's a good thing.
Okay. Commissioners, is there a motion for this?
Sure, I'll move to approve the motor vehicle clerk 2 position as attached, effective for January 1st, 2023.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Vern,
you.
thank you.
I do have one other thing.
Sure.
Today is the tax deadline, so if no one's paid their taxes, make sure you get up there and pay. As of to date, the last 5 weeks, we've collected about $29 million, which is about right on track where we should be, so. Right, thanks.
Okay, the next item is the legal blood draw services agreement. Scott?
Good morning, Commissioners. Scott Brown, Ellis County Sheriff. This was presented to me a week ago or so, and I had given it to Mr. Jeter for review, and then he brought it to the Commission since it was for you and it's a contractual thing. They're just asking to increase the rate for the blood draws, and what those are for is for DUIs, those types of things. It doesn't directly come out of my budget, nor does it come out of the clerks, although they receive that. It actually goes to the courts, but it takes your signature and agreement to accept this. The nice thing about them, they actually come to the law enforcement center and do our blood draw, so we don't have to go out to ER, so they've really helped us out. So they've been doing that for a little while. So I would ask that you accept this and give it a yes vote, please.
Sure. Sheriff, I just have a question for you.
Yes.
I know this is for blood DUIs, and is there any other drug toxicology that they draw with this?
They do all the blood draws, so marijuana, driving under the influence of any type of narcotic or anything like that's done, and then it's submitted for testing.
Oh,
So-
okay. Okay. And it's a 100% increase, but I guess they can validate that. And so I think we need the service. You use the service.
Yes.
They, like you say, they come to your establishment when it's necessary. So I think it's a good deal all the way around to work with Hayes Medical Center.
Okay.
So I'm in favor of this. Commissioner Joe?
Just the savings and the convenience of them coming to you versus you having to send somebody out and send a deputy or a jailer out with that person and all the complications that could arise, that alone makes it worth it.
Commissioner Neal?
How quick do they get there when you need something? I mean, is it pretty fast?
They're pretty fast.
That means a lot right there.
Yeah, and these are just for district court. I didn't say that, so if the city has something drawn for them, they have to pay for that themselves, and they're separated. We check them and then submit them to the clerk, who then submits them to the courts for payment. So,
Okay,
all right.
that's nice. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, is there a motion for this?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the legal blood draw services agreement with Hayes Medical Center.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Scott. Okay, the next agenda item is the tractor engine replacement. Brendan?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brendan McKay, Ellis County Public Works Director. So before you this morning is a proposal to replace and rebuild the engine on one of our mowing tractors. It failed a few months ago. Waiting to hear back about rebuild kits, because if John Deere doesn't make a rebuild kit themselves, they have to buy aftermarket. They don't sell complete engines anymore for that model. It's only remanufactured engines or total rebuilds. The option staff decided to present to you is to go with rebuilt long block and then rebuild from there. It's about $5,000 cheaper than doing a total rebuild on our block And if there is a problem with our block when they get in there, that'll just add additional costs. So it's the lesser of the two options, and then we have a new remanufactured block to build off of. Though it didn't rain much this year, so there wasn't as much mowing as normally goes on, it's still a needed piece of equipment. With it being now out of season, it's best to do it now so it's ready to go in springtime if we get the moisture to mow, first mow.
And how old was the engine on this tractor?
It is a original engine from 2013.
2013? Okay. It's probably the least expensive thing we can do to get this thing running again, isn't it?
Yes. A new tractor would, at that size, would be around 150.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
That's what our thought was.
Oh, okay, well, I guess, you know, looking at that, was this was unanticipated? You didn't,
Correct.
and you do have money to go ahead and get this from the budget, is that
Yep,
correct?
from our operating budget, we have some leftover funds.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Neal?
How many hours are on that? You know, just right off the top of your hand, Ed?
I believe it was over 3,000.
Okay,
Those small diesel engines, I mean, that's
yeah.
kind of when they start showing their wear. It had been showing high wear item, or the oil samples we've been taking on it. It's been showing higher and higher wear. It's now is the time to act. If we don't do it, it's going to cause more damage or take us out, and then
Not
it'll be
bad.
out in the middle of the season. And
Right. The other thing on that reman, is there any kind of warranty on that? None? Okay.
no.
And is that something, you know, we're in the process of building a new shop. Is that something that we will attempt in the years to come?
We can look at it. We've done it on smaller engines. I mean, this is a smaller diesel engine. Right now, with our current facility, it's not something we can do in-house. There's not clean enough area to keep it.
Okay.
Once you get one little bit in there, when you put it back together, it's something in the future we can look at doing more ourselves.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Commissioner Joe?
Well, with the options you've presented, this saves 5,000, you have leftover funds. Leftover fund sounds better than, hey, let's buy it new for 150,000.
Correct.
And the timing is about as good as you're ever gonna get to replace that piece of equipment or work on it so that it's serviceable, so.
Yes, sir.
And what's the availability? I mean, is it relatively quick for the reman?
They've been able to find one remanufactured long block. They have one in stock. That's the only one they found. So it's either we go ahead with this, or if we wait a few months, there may not be a remanufactured long block, and we'll have to go with the more expensive option and hope our block has no issues with it.
Okay. Commissioners, I move to approve purchase order number 7698 for a remanufactured engine and rebuild kit from Carico Implement.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay, then you want to talk about a pad foot roller?
Yes, sir. So last meeting, you approved me up to $55,000 to purchase a smooth drum roller off of Purple Wave. On December 15th, the same manufacturer, but the smaller size, so instead of an 84-inch drum, it had a 67-inch width drum. That sold for $57,000. So instead of asking you guys for more money to bid on that item, that we'll have to put around $12,000 into to put a pad foot shell on it, there is one currently in Nebraska that's for sale for the price that I spoke with him on was $67,000. The list price now has it listed at $69,980. That's what the price I've brought before you is, the $69,980. He said he believes he may be able to honor that $67 verbal he gave me, but if not, that $69 price is still a very good price for the machine. It has new tires, new injectors. They put $14,000 worth of parts into it. They bought it, use it to build their new facility, and are selling it. So talking with our representatives with Caterpillar, they said that's a very good price. The repairs that were done to it, they used real good parts. That's what they would recommend with that amount of hours that machine has. They believe it'll be a good machine for us for the future. The only thing that's different from it and our machine that burned down South Ellis is that ours had a cab on it. This one doesn't. So it's something we'll have to look at aftermarket options or manufacture ourselves to put a cab on it. So that way on days like today and the rest of this week when it's barely freezing or barely above zero operator's not sitting out in that weather. He's got a shell around him with a gearbox from the radiator, keeping the chill knocked out of the cab.
Okay. And you do use these foot rollers quite a bit,
Correct.
and we're going to need it a lot probably when we start preparing the ground for the new Public Works building.
Yes, sir. That's what the rush is for, that we need something for there. To rent that same size machine from Caterpillar right now is around $10,000 a month. Which, if we could do everything in 1 month's time that we need to do with it in a year, that'd be fine, but it's used when it's needed. When we're doing bridges, culverts, that's usually what, we don't generally use it on the full mile stretches. We use our pull behinds for that, but for when we're doing fills and approaches to bridges and culverts, and then for any pad leveling for our new site, it is a piece that we desperately need to do that right.
Okay, Commissioner Joe, do you have any questions?
No, I think it's a good alternative to missing out on what obviously will be a more expensive piece of equipment that's a little bit outside of what we had set aside for bid purposes. I'm in support of it.
Commissioner Neal?
I also support that because I've seen the other one out in different locations, so it is getting used, so.
And we have borrowed Rush counties. That's what we used when we did Ellis Avenue instead of renting one for $10,000 for that month. Spoke with our counterparts there. They have an older machine that they let us borrow for that. They're going to be selling it, I believe. So us borrowing equipment from them may not always be able to happen, but we do like to work together with each other and help each other out when we can.
And the money to purchase this will come out of which fund?
It can come out of Fund 16. We
Okay.
did budget for next year to purchase a new-to-us pad foot roller. Sorry, is in '24 to purchase a new-to-us pad foot roller. Ours just got taken out of the equation a little bit ahead of
Sure.
time.
Okay. Commissioners, I move to approve purchase order number 7703 to Larson International for the purchase of a pad foot roller.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Now you're going to talk about a bridge replacement.
Yeah, how about more money for us to spend, but thankfully this one's not that much for out of our side. So back in August, we applied for 2 KDOT bridge grants, the Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Grant, which is for any bridge that's on system or off system, and it has to meet specific requirements. So FAS 120 over the Saline River, that's that one North Ellis that we looked at on our road tour the last 2 years. We applied for that one. The program was changed this year. Originally, it was just $150,000 towards any bridge. Now it's basically unlimited funds towards a bridge. That's why we applied for that one, because the repair was about $1.4 million. Unfortunately, we weren't selected for that one. We'll keep applying for it when it comes around again. And then the other program we applied for was the off-system bridge grant. So that's any bridge that has a whole bunch of numbers, not FAS in front of it. So it's usually 4 digits, a dash, and 4 digits. And then it also has to meet specific requirements. So we had 2 eligible structures for there. The Hoosier Bridge, which is the one we applied for $1.2 million, and then a stone arch culvert. The Hoosier Bridge is one that's been applied for the last 3 years. And fortunately, it hasn't been selected. It was selected this year to receive funding, so it'll cost us for our local share in pre-design and engineering right-of-way acquisition, utility relocation of around $56,000. And the state is giving up to $1.2 million for the replacement structure. Current structure's a 40-foot span timber beam. When we get rain, it floods out, it washes out the approaches. The new structure's about 4 times the size of the current one. It'll get rid of the dip in the road going down to the bridge. It'll have straighter approaches and cleaner approaches, so won't have the issue, we believe, with the flooding. It's going to be a good thing for the area. It'll allow the industry that's out there to be able to go across it again, because it's currently weight restricted, the structure. So a little bit of money from us, but a lot more in return from the state.
Well, if KDOT's going to throw in about 1.2 million, we only have to come up with 55,000. That's a savings to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
So you can't hardly be negative on an issue like that. Is this bridge used quite a bit?
It's not a very highly traveled bridge at the moment because it is weight restricted and the approach is washing out every time there's lots of rain. That offers some grants more for the, what they call the out-of-the-way bridges, the lesser traveled bridges, smaller structures. Thankfully, they approved us to put a larger structure in there to make it safer for traveling public, and if we get rain, it'll be able to be traveled safely.
Okay. Commissioner Neal, have any questions?
It's due, and we're getting that kind of funding. That's,
We are applying for things on the other edge of the county, I promise. But unfortunately, these grant programs, we have a lot of structures that need work, but unfortunately, they're not, with their current ratings, they're not ranked low enough to be eligible for some of these grants. So we apply for every grant that we can with what's eligible. And unfortunately, they won't swap the money from there for the one for the Saline River Bridge. It has to go for that off system.
Sure. Commissioner Joe, questions?
No, it's a huge fan of grants, so, you know, that certainly saves us a lot of money. And like you said, it's not very well used right now because it can't be, but hopefully once it's worked on and up to standard, you know, that'll help with traffic flow in that area and provide convenience for citizens that live out that way. So that's a good thing.
GADOT did share the love out here in Northwest Kansas. They selected 8 projects in Northwest Kansas in our district, so big thank you to them for that.
Well, that's good. What I'm hearing the board say is proceed.
Okay, well, here in next few upcoming weeks, I'll bring a contract for design work from the engineers, and then it's called Form 1302 from the state. Basically spells out what our estimated costs are and our local share, and then I'll be before the commission to sign both of those agreements.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
one other thing, Brandon,
Yes, sir.
for the people watching online, if you can kind of update us on where we're all working. I mean, I see it out in the country, but some of the people don't. Which roads we're rehabbing right now, just
So right now,
short little version of it, please.
from Hyacinth, doing work on the Buckeye right now, doing a lot more tree trimming. With the weather coming in this week, and then it being a shortened week this week and next week, we didn't want to start laying out another mile of rock out on the roadway and have it obstructed with the upcoming potential for snow and ice that's coming soon. So right now we got a lot of staff, well, they're preparing their trucks for the snow plows for potential storm Wednesday night. And then the other members of staff, they're making more rock for us to start hauling again. Then we're also out trimming trees off the right of way.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Brandon. Okay, Mike Liker, regarding some improvements.
Good morning, Mike Liker, IT Director. Thank you for fitting me in this morning. Wanted to give you a little bit of a background on what we're doing here. If any of you have been in the IT area lately, you'll notice that our space is becoming limited with staffing and equipment. We've had to move some of the equipment out. You'll notice, I'm sure you've noticed the plotter scanner in the hallway out here. We found an out-of-the-way place in the hallway to put that, but we've been looking for economical ways to find additional space. I was visiting with the Buildings and Grounds Director, Greg, and we had been talking about the bathrooms in the corner back here, and I think we proposed this several years ago, but I would like to talk to you about remodeling those bathrooms and making them office space for IT. Those are not public bathrooms. I spoke with Greg, as I said, and he is in favor of removing those fixtures and taking that out as a bathroom space. We do have the bathrooms on this side down here that are public bathrooms. Spoke with Greg and I spoke with Glassman. We didn't want to get in the middle of their project they're doing here, and they said there's no issues with our plan as far as HVAC goes. And what I'm proposing to do is minimal, basically closing the hallway off, and then cutting an opening from IT into that hallway, and then making office office space and equipment space in the two bathrooms over here. And I did some materials costs based on my experience in a previous life in construction. These are not by any means quotes, but they're estimates. And for all the materials and some electrical, there's only one outlet in each bathroom, so we need to add some electrical. And then obviously cap off the plumbing. I've got an estimate of $3,200. I think that's probably pretty close, maybe a little high. And I believe Greg in the maintenance department would be doing a lot of the work. We're looking at exploring options to, whatever I can do and my staff can do to help out with that to minimize the cost. So just wanted to get your thoughts and blessing to proceed on that project if you choose to do so.
Mike, how many additional square feet would that give you?
288, almost 289 square feet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That would relieve the conditions in the office as far as crowdedness.
Yes. When we're fully staffed with an intern, we actually have negative space, if you want to call it that. So this will definitely help out with the space issues. And
Well, I know your department has been growing, and the board has helped facilitate that. So I think if the additional space is warranted, those bathrooms aren't being used. And I wasn't even aware they were there. So, but I don't have a problem with it. Commissioner Neal?
I don't either. You got two operational bathrooms right here, wasted space. Put it to use and help you guys out in their space. So, great idea.
Commissioner Joe?
Yeah, I agree. Why not make the best use of the space and the facilities as possible? And if that benefits your expanding department, then so much the better.
okay.
Okay, proceed, Mike.
I guess I just want to ask too, and I've talked to Darren about that, just so we don't get ourselves in trouble about as far as taking out a city permit. I don't know if you've investigated that much. I mean, just a phone call or whatever may.
Right. I haven't investigated that. I was going to lean on Greg a little bit because he's more familiar with that, and he is going to be doing a little project here coming up very soon, and he was hoping to time that with this one. And I was going to default to his expertise on the permits and things like that, but obviously we want to stay in compliance with that. So,
Sure.
but yes, thank you.
Okay, well, proceed, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next agenda item is the personnel policy update. Darren?
Good morning, Commissioners. Darren Myers, County Administrator. Before you again today, I guess previously I sent it to you individually through email so you could review weeks in advance of the final draft. But before you today is our final draft of the Ellis County personnel policy. This has been worked on for several months. We've had several meetings with the executive team and HR with Jennifer and Janet there in the audience. They've done a lot of legwork on this too. And we've also had it reviewed from our HR consultant out of Topeka to make sure that there was anything that we were missing or things that they're seeing through different counties in the state. And so we added a little bit of verbiage from there and just some different policy updates that have came up since the last time this was revisited. That needed to be actually in the policy so the expectations and the policy itself are clear to the employees. One good example is that we had earlier this year is once an employee drops below their full-time status, if they have a emergency or they can only work 20 hours a week, how long does that last until they need to start paying a different percentage of their health insurance? And that was captured. Another good example is a revamp of our employee recognition policy for their service awards. The way we were kind of doing it before wasn't necessarily recommended practice for what the IRS would see. So we changed that to a different practice that we'll do every year. It's identified in policy now in February at the commission meeting. And put it in policy for our in-service training day, so that way each year it's in policy. That way we can get together, don't have to worry about, not that it's a hard problem, but asking for the commission's approval to close down offices to get all the employees together to do different types of training like sexual harassment or active shooter, different safety things throughout the day. And we also tie that in with, at least I think it went well this year with open enrollment. We had our health insurance vendors and different health option vendors out there for the employees to meet with. And the health department was out there doing blood screenings and vaccinations and everything for our employees. And then another professional development piece with that put some responsibility onto the county administrator to put some type of program in place annually to provide training to our staff, our leaders in the county with more growth and development opportunities, just to be good leaders and managers in the county. And as I listed in here, and I know I sent you individual emails previously about all the line by line page, there were several pages of just minor options, but I think that was pretty thorough for you at that point to be able to review it, and there's not really much that has changed since that version. We had, I think the biggest change that came into place was the added piece for the rolling average of full-time employment, and then a section on appearance for tattoos, body modifications, and piercings. We added in there for some more clarification, but other than that, that's the biggest change from the last time I sent you it several weeks ago to review. So, like I say, staff worked hard. Mr. Jeter worked hard on it. Our HR staff did a lot of work, and I'm glad we're at this point to get it done. Kind of triggered, if you remember earlier in the year when the commission approved pay increases for 2022, we changed what hours are calculated to compute overtime in the county. Previously, holiday pay, extended leave, and paid time off was included as hours worked when you are calculating for overtime on a weekly basis. And with the pay adjustments that the commission approved, that was one of the bargaining factors, is if we higher pay increase and lose the computation of those hours for overtime to help savings on overtime every year. Since then, we've just been working to try to make sure we're capturing all the different changes and practices that we do. Have any questions, be happy to answer them.
I have no questions, Darren. I did review this policy a couple of times. I went through it. I couldn't see anything that jumped out at me that I would be afraid to work with, so I think it's a good policy. Commissioner Neal?
I too read through it, and there's a lot of information there. There's some things in there that I wish that my place of work would have, so county employees should feel lucky that they have some of this stuff. And I also thank HR and Mr. Jeter and all the heads that got involved in this. There's a lot of work to that, so thank you. I'm supportive of it.
Commissioner Joe?
Well, thankfully, all my tattoos you can't see when I have a shirt on, so I'm good there. No, having more of a background in HR than anywhere else, it's a bear to rewrite the policy manual and to align it with, say, the templates you find on the SHRM website, if that's something you guys did, and to route it through legal to make sure. And so that was quite a project, so thank you very much for doing that for both the department and the county. It's not easy, so thank you.
Commissioners, is there a motion to approve this?
Sure, I'll move to approve the attached Ellis County Personnel Policy effective January 1, 2023.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Darren.
I will add too, one thing that I forgot to, I know this is a super exciting topic, but one thing I did want to clarify was one of the goals of this policy was to combine several other policies that were outdated, to include purchasing card policy, some IT policies, some other old forms that really weren't, we combined some forms together and we put them all in as addendums to the personnel policy. So I'll just, for clarification, since these other policies would be abandoned with the new policy taken into place, the purchasing card policy, the travel reimbursement policy, the employee recognition policy, acceptable use policy, computer password policies would all be abandoned, and they are all now part of this.
Mhm.
And then the additional forms are just forms to be added at the end, but I just wanted to make sure we were clarified that those old policies are no longer in existence, and we will now have 4 other ones that I'll work next year, from budgeting to asset management, a couple other different things that we'll work on in 2023, which won't be as heavy as this one was.
Yeah, okay,
Are
Darren.
those also, not just paper form? Is there a possibility when we move forward, is it gonna be a fillable form on the computer, or is it already in place?
So there's several things that we're gonna do with the implementation of this is, I had one thought of, let's print off a copy and give it to every single employee and have every single employee sign it. Jennifer informed me that there's a much easier process that we'll use once we come fully live with the UKG, which is the Human Resource Information System. It'll be digitized on there, and it'll be made available on there for all the employees to see and view on their own personal account. And then we'll be able to create a workflow process for them to be able to say that they acknowledge that they've received it, read it, and will abide by it. And then the fillable forms, now that they're approved, like the mileage reimbursement form that you helped provide us, those will all be fillable. We got them in Excel spreadsheets, but we'll get those updated. I just don't want to get
Too far.
too
Yep.
far ahead, but those will all become fillable, and some of them already are, actually.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, County Administrator report, Darren.
I do have 2 things. First one, I just want to let the commission know, if the commission remembers, earlier this year, we entered into agreements with the Attorney General's office on the opioid settlement that's going around. We received those initial funds. I can't remember exactly how much they were, the first payment. I believe it was less than $5,000. And at that point, the commission approved that the acceptable use would be to send it back to the drug court to actually help fight the issues of the opioid problem in America, or at least in Ellis County. So that way they could help support their drug court system and support the members of that with different incentives. By the end of this year, we just got word, I think on Friday, and I shared it with the court staff, but we will be receiving the next payment, which is from 3 different companies, Janssen, Melancott, and distributors. But we'll be receiving just over $40,000 as part of that settlement. So I guess my recommendation would be to continue to let the drug court use that to help with programs for addicts and different incentives they have for drug court. I think that would be an appropriate use for it, and they could definitely use that for some of the programs that they do that their federal grant that they received would not allow them to spend the money on.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd be supportive of that, Darren.
We will move forward with it and add it into their fund for that. And last, I just wanted to say that thank you all 3, and I guess several in the audience, for coming to the special commission meeting yesterday to review the Public Works building. I know it was quite a bit longer than Bobby wanted to sit there, but I think it was a good discussion. It's good to have those questions and changes made up front, rather than having halfway through the process that we're making changes so we can get it open and moving forward. So I believe the 3rd week in January, they'll be back, is the date that they were going to put down as tentative to come back at an actual full commission meeting to potentially move to the next phases. Thanks for your time yesterday. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
County Commission reports. Commissioner Neal?
I did attend the Ellis County Planning and Development, so there'll be some stuff presented to us here in the future. Also, I did have some personal stuff that I needed to talk to Lisa's office, so I gotta, not just to brag on them, but I'm bragging on everybody, but they resolved that real quick for me, so thanks to Lisa and her staff. And then also, Merry Christmas to everybody, and be safe and stay warm.
Commissioner Joe?
I don't have anything to report, much like you mentioned. I just hope everybody has a great holiday/Christmas weekend with their family and their loved ones, and that everyone stays safe, and in the next few days, hopefully warm.
Okay, I'll just wish everyone safe and happy holidays, and we'll see you all after the first year. And our meeting will adjourn at 9:15.